Let's talk about some of the early day lessons that you think made the biggest impact in your careers. Marianne, what would you say has been the one key realization that opened your mind and set you on your way?
I think it would be to just unlearn everything I thought I knew.
Unlearn everything that you thought that you were taught in the university.
Yes.
That's a terrible indictment of the field of architecture.
It's not that. It's more like, you come into the profession and realize like, wow, it's just so unbelievably broken.
Right.
It's an inner brokenness of worldviews and understanding of nature, complete lack of ecological literacy. There's no fixing it unless we fix the root cause. So I had to be perfectly comfortable with accepting the fact that I don't know. I really don't know how to do it. And even though 10 years ago, I had this big, bold, humongous dream, which I was terrified of, by the way. I had no idea how to get there. And I look at myself like, who am I? What do I know? I don't have the skill sets. I don't have there's no path that I could follow. So it was very, very scary. But I think if we balance out the fear versus this kind of like excitement of discovery and curiosity, I think ultimately this excitement and curiosity will win out in the end, because all along I was scared about failure and what might people think and doing things wrong and falling flat on my face. And I just realized that that's just actually an artificial made up scenario in my head, and nobody actually really, really cares. So why not just pursue what I actually truly love and then have fun in the process and learn a lot in the process? And I think it's that kind of attitude of, like an upward energy vortex that I always try to keep myself on. I think that kind of attitude and character development was actually what got me here.
Right. Cristina, what was the one thing that you did, looking back now, that has got you where you are?
Of course, as an anthropologist, you become lost in the complexity, and like you need to be pragmatic at some point. What are the key actions that can be done? And I think that my career has taught me that just deconstructing everything and questioning everything is not taking me to anywhere, right? And it's not enough just to be the observer and being in a diagnosis mode, but really to, after trying to understand that complexities and the system and the root causes, as Marianne was saying, is about being very chirurgical and finding like very early victories, very concrete actions that can drive us into this systems change, focusing, of course, on the causes and not the symptoms. Once you get to know a new person, get to understand a new concept, this opens a new door and opens a new door and opens a new door. I never thought that I was going to study and work around urban topics. My passion was the very far away rainforest and serpents. But now I'm here sitting in Geneva working with cities. And I think that this is the magic of the interconnections and understanding how every piece depends on the other.
That's a really interesting perspective, Cristina, because what I get from what you've said is that sustainability is not a career choice, it's a life choice. And to a degree, it really is about having a systemic view of the world around you and seeing yourself embedded within these systems, right? And leveraging on these systems and the connections that these systems offer to go from one point to another. What you are talking about is a kind of a deep-rooted quest for reciprocity and systemic change, which doesn't bear the label sustainability necessarily, but it leads to that, right? Is that a fair summary?
And it comes with a lot of frustration. Every single day we're facing cognitive dissonance about being sustainable and being very unsustainable, right? And I think that being very blunt and honest about how difficult it has become to be coherent in the way we do, we act, we teach, we learn. It starts, I think, with humbleness, and it starts with just realizing that it's not an easy path, but maintaining the purpose, sustainability more as a purpose than as a career. I think.
Giovanni, I want to ask you if you were starting out today. How would you go about picking your first job, your first task? How would you construct this career path? what is the value of that first job or the first project?
I would say that in order to accelerate for your career, I think one of the first jobs must be related to a project or a company which is very driven by sustainability as its foundation, and then this means that you are able to experience that level of sophistication early in your career. That's, I think, is the most important part, because then you are able to communicate at a high level with different stakeholders around the table. And as soon as you understand this early in your career, then it makes everything later, I would say, slightly faster and also easier. Simply because you are looking at projects that may not be the norm now, but they may become the norm probably in 10 years from now. So you are trying to see how the future will look like in a relatively short to medium period of time. So you have to be very focused and selective on which priorities you have to take. And when I started my career, one of my mentors, Nirmal, and then I will tell you this, taught me a mantra that is still valid today, which is don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. So this was the mantra that I would say applies to many different jobs in sustainability, and that I've seen consistently as a winning formula across different jobs. So that's and even now, after 10 years, it's still valid.